One of the best things you can do when you first get started in bonsai is to see if there's any local bonsai shows in your area. And when you go to them, you get to see a lot of different material that's been refined for years and years. And one of the great advantages is that you can see the trees in person, walk around them at your own pace, and get really up close. Something that's kind of hard to mimic or replicate in a video or in a book, and get inspiration and ideas for techniques or styles or shapes or pot selections that you can use on your own material at home. So what I'm going to be doing today is bringing you to the Chicago Botanic Garden to see some examples of refined bonsai material we have right here in the Midwest. I'm going to start this off with the Rocky Mountain juniper, which is a species that's native to North America. This one is an informal upright with a twin trunk, as you can see from that double apex, which originates from this Y-shaped split kind of halfway up the tree. Fantastic deadwood. I wish I could have something like this in my collection. I don't know if I'll have something quite as large as this, but I hopefully will get the species one day. Ideally something that is Yamadori and wild collected, and we can make our own little Shohin replica. This tree is a Douglas fir, and it's got a very massive trunk, so I think what they may have been trying to replicate here is one of those larger trees on a small Shohin scale. But moving on, we have another Rocky Mountain juniper, and the deadwood on this is fantastic. Look at that. It's got like a triangle of 3 main points of deadwood with the tree in the middle. This is probably my favorite juniper I've seen in the show, maybe one of my favorite junipers I've seen in all time. This was another one of my favorite compositions. It looks kind of funny because this pot reminded me of like a creature with a mouth puking out a tree, and then this larger pine is kind of recoiling in disgust. So I don't know if anybody else saw that, but that's what came to mind when I saw this display, and it was actually one of my favorites. Now, it was my favorite display in terms of composition, just because it got that funny story in my head. So this is a Dawn Redwood. That was a twin trunk Dawn Redwood, and this is a Douglas fir. These are 2 species that I have in my own backyard. The trunks aren't as massive and they're not as well developed, but I hope to have something like that in the future, especially the twin trunk. That's one of my favorite styles. Now moving on, here we have a juniper. I really like the deadwood on this. It's got that maple as part of the display, and I feel like juniper and maple are 2 really classic species, so it's nice to see that. Another one of my favorite compositions in this show. I wish I could have bought that tree. I really like the deadwood on it. Now this tree here looks to have some dying foliage. I think the old needles may just be dropping from stress when it was transported to the show, but awesome canopy, awesome foliage pads, and a big trunk. Really awesome white pine to see in this show. This juniper, I really like the deadwood. It almost reminded me of like a root over a rock on that trunk, just using the deadwood. And then this was a Colorado blue spruce. So, it's one of those ideas that I've been working on for a while, trying to think, if I can maybe turn a blue spruce into a bonsai tree. It's not really something I've come across, but recently I've seen people do it, and then now I saw this one at the show, so I really am motivated to get my own blue spruce material and work on it and see if I can hopefully make something like that one day. This was a small pine and a small juniper, a lot of deadwood. It does look interesting, although something about that deadwood makes me, almost think like it died unintentionally. So maybe it just needs to be bleached, but, who knows? Maybe that's just my personal opinion. Here we have an awesome display. You got the Venus flytraps and the pitcher plants. You guys know I love those. And then this is a bald cypress. Now, it's not as refined as, maybe I would have something that's more refined to put inside of a show, but it was kind of nice to see the representation of the carnivorous plants. Here we have a classic Procumbens juniper semi-cascade. This is, like the ideal that I think most people work towards when they get that nursery stock and just do that classic semi-cascade juniper. But this one is really refined. One of the more challenging things is to get a nice apex on it, but I think that one was really good. And then here we have a white pine with really blue foliage. I don't know if that's a special cultivar, but the foliage on that looked awesome. The trunk was big and massive and had like deadwood on it. One of my favorites at this show. Definitely was a good example of one of the better trees here. So I'm gonna finish the video here just because that's all the video clips I could find for today. There might be some more that I may be uploading in the near future, but even if I don't, there is another bonsai show happening in just a few weeks. I'm gonna go take footage of that to upload here, and there's gonna be a show, there's gonna be a sale, so I'm gonna do a separate video for all the sale trees, and that's gonna be it for now. So as always, good luck with your bonsai trees and good luck with any other plants you're growing. I'll see you in the next one.